Hello everybody, it is Wit here today. We're just going to do some classic Project Cam today because I didn't have time to really get ready, but I did have time to make some cards, so that's what counts. So I am loving this brand new stamp set. It's called It's Been Too Long, and it's this kind of like flurry of butterflies. This is actually broken out of the February 2021 Kit of the Month, and we made it into an individual kit because it was so heavily requested. Everybody wanted this stamp, and so we made it happen. We do that from time to time with our past Kit of the Months. We will take a stamp that people have loved and requested, and we'll maybe resize it, add some different sentiments, and make it its own little kit. So this is sized a little bit differently than the Kit of the Month. The dimensions and stuff are all under the product listing if you want to check that out. But it comes with a flurry of butterflies, which I love, and 3 sentiments: miss you, it's been too long, and you're in my thoughts. So this is one of our newest arrivals. We had, I believe, 8 new arrivals that came out last Wednesday, and we have just been having so much fun with them. And also, along with those new arrivals, we have something brand new to the industry that I'm going to be using today, and it is our Adhesive Transfer sentiments. These are so easy to use. It's a very easy, heat-free way to add foiled sentiments to your creations. So I did it on each of these cards in different colors so you could see, but I love the sparkle. I love how easy it is to do. It just makes a card that kind of would be kind of plain and make it like elevated. So this stamp set is super versatile. We have so many samples from our design team showing different ways to use this, and I'm just going to share a couple different ways. Yesterday I was kind of feeling like I could not make a card if my life depended on it. I was like in this crafty rut, nothing was going right, and so some of the girls on our design team were saying that they go and look for inspiration on Pinterest or on the Unity Show and Tell group, and just kind of start with the basics. And so I went back to the basics, things that I love to do, and it all came together. It kind of seems like the more I try to craft like other people, the more it doesn't work out for me. And when I like go back to what I know, it works out. So, word of advice. So this one is actually a replica of a card that Julissa did. She's one of our design team members, and I think she might have did hers with Copics. I do not do Copics. I can't do like blending like that, and so I thought I would show you how to recreate this card with some watercolors. And then just some simple watercolor stamping and watermark stamping. So let's get started. Just gonna move my things. My Nuvo drops are still a little wet, so I'm trying to be a little careful. All right, let's just start with this one. This is just a simple watermark stamp, slimline stamp. I love, or slimline card. I love how this stamp can be used on like a traditional size as well as the slimline with just a little bit of extra effort. So for this one, we are going to be grabbing, I used my Gina Marie Designs Scalloped Slimline card die. This is for an 8.5 by 3.5 inch slimline. And then I just cut a little panel of our colored cardstock a little bit smaller so we kind of have just that border of scallops popping out, and we're going to stamp on this. All right, so let's grab the, oh no, I wonder where my acetate went. I needed that. Let's see if I can find it. I might have thrown it away, unfortunately. Oh well, I'll figure something out. All right. So for this one, we're just going to stick our panel inside the MISTI. This is a pretty big stamp, and the slimline panel, it just works best to use the original sized MISTI. All right. So then I'm just going to grab my Pixie Tape. We just got this in the shop, and it is selling out like crazy. It is such a great kind of crafty staple to have in your collection for holding panels in place and die cuts and things like that. All right, so we're going to start by kind of positioning our butterflies up at the top like this. And I want it to be kind of arching this way. So we're just going to stick it like that, and then I'm going to grab my Watermark ink. So this is kind of a go-to of mine when I want kind of a tone-on-tone effect and I maybe don't have an ink that I feel like is close enough in color to my cardstock. I'll just grab my Watermark ink, and then as it soaks into the paper, it's about a couple shades darker than the paper. So kind of a fun, simple trick. All right, just inking that up. And we're pressing down. Love it. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we wanna flip this panel. And it's not gonna fit completely in our Misties, so I'm gonna have a part of it kind of shoving out the end, but don't worry, it won't hurt it or anything. All right, so now I need to figure out, oh, here's an acetate, good. So now I'm gonna grab a little piece of acetate. So this is just to kind of mask off my spot so we can get the perfect placement for our butterflies, so we can kind of get a continuous little S shape, which is pretty easy to do with this set. So I'm just gonna grab that acetate, position it over my card panel, and I'm gonna clean off the stamp so we get a nice, no smudging and stuff on my acetate, so I can just see exactly where I want everything to be. All right, so I am basically gonna line up this tail with that little tail to the best of my ability. All right, so I feel like that's gonna be pretty good. Oh, wow, what is going on? Got a little powder or something on here. Redo. All right. Take two. There we go. That works better. Okay, so I'm just gonna ink up like the bottom half because that's really all I need to check and see that's lined up. And if I'm looking at the acetate, I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, I can see it is like perfectly lining up. Wouldn't have even needed the acetate, what luck. So we'll just take our acetate out. We're going to leave the stamp in that same position and ink it up again with that Watermark ink. And stamp down. So now it like perfectly connects. I love this just simple way to use this stamp in a different way. So super fun. All right, so I'm just gonna take my heat tool and speed dry this ink a little bit. So we're gonna do a little bit of ink blending, and I don't want to smear those pretty butterflies we just stamped out. Perfect. So I love the tone-on-tone look. Super duper easy. I thought this would be really pretty in like spring pastels, like if you wanted to give somebody a like card pack, like a non-crafty friend, like spring colors like yellow, pink, blue, and then like a kind of a pastel green. I thought it'd be really fun and pretty. All right, so we're gonna add a little bit of ink blending to the edges just to add a little bit of interest, and so I'm gonna grab turquoise C. It's just a little ink cube I have. And then my ink blender for my blue family. And we're just gonna get some ink on this one and go around the edges. So when I ink blend, I kind of like to start at one corner off of the paper a little bit and then just pull it inward to get like a nice even blend. And we're just kind of keeping with that tone-on-tone theme too. The teal ink and teal paper. Hi Cindy, thank you for joining us.
And Teresa on YouTube, Deborah on YouTube.
Yes, so we are both live on YouTube and Facebook, so if you have troubles on one, you can always pop over to the other, and our videos are available to rewatch on both channels as well. So that's kind of nice. All right, so just adding that detail to the edges, deepening it up a little bit. Until I'm satisfied. All right, so I'm liking that. I think that's really fun. So we're gonna add a little bit of glitter detail to this just because I can't not, and I have a fun way to add some glitter. So these are Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pens. We have them in glitter gloss and a gold one in the shop, but today I'm gonna use the glitter gloss, which is just a really pretty silvery glitter. So I like to just take an acrylic block and just put a little bit off to the side on my block to kind of dip in. And then we are just going to simply put it over the top of all of these butterflies. Nothing fancy, but it adds just a little bit of sparkle detail that's so pretty and fun. And it will pair perfectly with our no heat foiled sentiment we're going to do on this one too. Kind of obsessed with sparkle.
Did you say that sparkles in our shop?
Yes, it is. It is called a Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen. I don't know which one it is, if it's the silver or the gold, but one of them comes in a 2-pack only. But don't worry, you will use it, or it would be really a fun thing to gift to a crafty friend. These are great over the top of like mixing with your watercolors too. So sometimes I will scribble a little bit of pigment from like a watercolor pen on here and mix it with this, and you get like the perfect shimmery watercolor. So lots of different ways you can use this. I'm also going to splatter some of this over the top of this card, which is another fun way to use it. Like if there's a glitter product, I have to have it. All right, nearing the end of our watercolor. It's just adding a really fun silver shimmer over the top here. So if you're gonna do this with like stamp out with like an actual ink, make sure that it's watercolor friendly, because if you go in with this and you used a dye ink, it is going to smear. The Watermark holds up great. All right, yes, the gold is really pretty. Both the gold and the silver I really love. All right, so here is that. So actually I forgot I was gonna do my little splatters. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on there and a little bit of ink on the corner, and grab a brush and we're gonna add some splatters. So just have a little brush over here, and it's just kind of fine splatters. I'm gonna add a little bit of water so I can do bigger ones. All right, super fun. Clean off that block. I think I'm gonna add a few more of like teal drops just to pair with this. And splattered that over the top too. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Okay, so we got our teal drops. See what I'm saying about going back to the basics? I just need to stick with my simple watermark stamping, my plethora of splatters, and not try to mix it up so much. Like I'd put a lot of pressure to just show you guys different things all the time, but sometimes that doesn't matter. Like it's just creating and showing off these awesome designs. But I would love to hear what you guys do when you are in a crafty rut. Like what are some of your techniques you do to kind of get back in the mode of things? We had a few of our design team members say they just kind of walk away, they take a nap, you know, maybe go for a walk, and I think that's so important, just to like step away for a second when things aren't working out, because it just gets so frustrating otherwise. All right, so here is that panel. I love how that's turning out. So now we're gonna do our sentiment on a piece of vellum. So I am gonna grab, this is a piece of vellum that is 1.5 inches thick, and we're gonna take one of our adhesive transfers here. So what I did is there's two different ones. So I took sentiments 2, and all you do is cut out the sentiment you want. So I knew that I wanted hello, so I'm going to grab the hello from here. And how these work is by adding pressure. So I just kind of like to use my Pixie Tape as a little way to hold on to these sentiments so I don't touch the back of the adhesive, and it also helps when placing it so you can get it exactly where you want it. So we are going to just flip it over and we are going to peel off that thin backing, revealing the adhesive. Then we're going to take our acetate here and position it down. This is a tiny bit bigger, like the L's kind of hang off, but I was totally fine with that because when it's all foiled up, it still looks really normal. So we're just going to take this, we're going to put it in our die cut sandwich. So I have 2 little plates here that I got specifically for my adhesive transfers. I'm not going to use these for die cutting because I want to keep them nice, and so if you are using plates that are really beat up, make sure you use like a craft carrier sheet, maybe a piece of parchment, something to kind of protect it so it transfers well. So we're just going to take this sandwich, we're going to run it through our die cutting machine just like we would a metal die, applying that pressure down. All right, so now we're going to take it out and we are going to peel off the top layer. So here is something magical. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it almost looks like a watermark stamped sentiment on here. So we're just going to take that and then we're going to grab our foils. So for this one, I am going to be using our very own Unity foil. This is our silver glitter foil. It's like a holographic glitter made in collaboration with Deco foil. So you just cut a little chunk, whatever size works for you. And we're going to lay that right over the top of that sentiment, pretty side up. So just like this. And you don't have to press down or anything like that. I just kind of touch to hold it in place. Then we'll put it back through the die cutting machine, apply that pressure again, and you are going to get a perfectly foiled sentiment. It is just amazing. When you see this peel and reveal, you're going to lose it. Trust. All right, so we're going to do the peel and reveal now. So we're just going to go ahead and peel that foil off, and look at how crisp and perfect that foiled sentiment is. Like seriously, that's no heat, you guys. So stinking easy with just pressure. And the bonus is that you can use this one too. So you can grab your, what is it called? Sorry, the bus just came, so I got distracted. It is called the toner sheets. It is solid black toner paper, and you can put this on top of this and run it through a hot laminator and use this to get a second impression. This one you do need heat, but this one, you are all good. All right, so that is going to look so, so pretty. So let's do one of the little sentiments that come with it too. So I love how you can foil on colored cardstock too. So I just have a little scrap sheet of black cardstock here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Use my Pixie Tape to kind of hold the edge. We're going to peel off that backing, and then we're going to press down on our cardstock. You don't have to press hard or anything like that, like just put it in place. We'll repeat that process, putting it through the die cut machine. All right. And then we're just going to peel this apart, peel that backing and reveal that perfectly transferred little sentiment. I love it. And I'm just going to grab this little sheet because we have a chunk we didn't use, cut a piece to size, and same thing, you can just stick it right over the top, pretty side up, and run it back through the die cutting machine so you can apply the pressure and the foil will adhere to that adhesive.
Do we have any toner sheets available?
We do, yes. We do sell toner sheets, all different kinds of foils. Everything you need for foiling we have in our shop. We even have, if you're really into foiling and you have a hot laminator, we have designer card fronts that you can foil with pre-made designs too. All right, so here is that peel and reveal. Look at how crisp that is, you guys. I am obsessed. And again, you could use this one for your negatives. So I just kind of keep a little pile of my negatives, and I'll just kind of pop it in with these adhesive transfers, because then when I go to use these, I can see, oh, you know what, I have these negatives, I can use that too. So that way nothing goes to waste with foiling, which I love. All right, so we are just going to cut this out. I know this is a huge scissors, but I find it easier with these little sentiments to use like a big scissors for banners to get it straight.
Sue says your foiling is on point.
Thank you so much. You can do it too. It's so easy. So much fun. I have gone through so many of these adhesive transfers, you guys. Like, it's just insane. All right, so we're going to get to card assembly here. So we're going to take this panel and we are just going to adhere that down. I'm going to use my terrible tape. This is a 1/4 inch tape. I love this for shakers and borders, and it is really strong and nice for adhering card layers too. So I've been using this type of adhesive a lot and enjoying it much more so than like adhesive rollers and things like that. So I'm just sticking with it. I like it. I think we should get like the 1 inch size in too. I think that would be great. This 1/4 inch is great for kind of thin borders and stuff. But all right, so I'm just adhering that down flat on this card base. Then I'm going to take a little bit of that same tape and I'm just going to run it across the top of the vellum and the bottom of the vellum. Like so. And we're going to peel off that backing. What's nice about this tape too is you really don't see it much behind this vellum. Alright, so I want this kind of up on the top half of our card, like so. And then we're going to pop up this beautiful, I think it's so fun. I have a tiny piece of foam tape I'm going to grab. I already had pre-cut. I'm going to put that name in there so you guys can see that that is the name of the stamp set that we're using. And of course our adhesive transfers. They are selling out so quickly, you guys, so if you want these adhesive transfers, go ahead and add them to your cart. ThermoWeb is the one that manufactures them for us, and we collaborated with them. And when I talked to them this morning, oh my gosh, how did I do that? When I talked to them this morning, they said that they are even sold out, so it'll be a little bit for a restock. I don't know how I did that, but I cut this or something, so I just improvised. All right, so we just popped that up, and I thought the perfect embellishment for this card was this really pretty peppermint candy Nuvo vintage drops. So the Nuvo vintage drops dry matte, and so there's no shine to them, and they look like a super pretty enamel dot. And the fun thing is you can make them any size that you want. Add a little bit of goop on there, which I really like being able to do that. Multiple sizing. Right, so I'm just going to do 3 little dots there, and this is the finished card.
Do you have any toner sheets up here?
I do, yes.
You should almost show, well, I guess the laminator's not on.
Yeah, my laminator is not on, but I do have a video that came out last Wednesday, and you can go ahead and see how you can use these negatives with our toner sheets. If you're curious about that, I did like a whole video that's very in-depth about these adhesive transfers, how to use the negatives, how to use our toner card fronts. So it is a really good video if you're interested in foiling and kind of the basics. Go check that out. All right, so that is card 1 with It's Been Too Long. I love how you can kind of double stamp it to get this S shape, and of course that awesome foiled sentiment is like chef's kiss. Obsessed. All right, so next card here, I want to do another just kind of basic stamping technique. So one of my favorite techniques to do is watercolor stamping. And so it is just super simple stamping with your dye inks, or if you have watercolor markers or anything like that, you can do this. So I am just going to grab a piece of watercolor paper. When I do my watercolor stamping, I like to use watercolor paper because it does kind of lend to that watercolory feel. The colors move a little bit more, whereas with regular cardstock, it's not going to move that much. It's going to be like that exact impression, if that makes sense. Maybe not. All right, so I'm going to grab my Misty again and our trusty butterfly flurry stamp. And I'm just going to clean this off because I have some Watermark ink on here. So I'm just going to clean this off pretty well because we're going to go in with some water-based markers. So if you have dye inks, like little cubes, that would work perfect for this technique too. But what I love about using the markers is that you can color exactly the areas where you want it to be that color. So we're just going to start off with magenta. And so I'm going to color my big butterfly, just kind of adding that on there. And don't worry if you're not covering every single inch of it, it's going to be fine because we're going to add just a spritz of water, and it will kind of spread that pigment around. All right, so then next I want to do a little bit of a lighter pink on this one. And I'm using Karen watercolor markers. They are my favorite. All right, we'll go in with an orange. And then this little guy here, I want to be a little bit of a lighter orange.
Those must take a while to dry, huh?
These?
Yeah.
No, they really, well, these watercolor markers?
Yeah.
Yes. They do take a little bit to dry, and even if you're using a fast drying marker, spritz it with water and it's going to reactivate that pigment again, so you really don't have to move super fast. All right, we're going to have our green one. I'm doing kind of a rainbow vibes today. If you didn't notice, I'm in the rainbow mood. Right, I'm going to do one kind of a little light blue one. And then a purple at the end. And I don't know if this will all show up on there, but either way, it's going to be good. I'll move that up just a little bit. Let's see if I like that. Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to take my spray bottle and I'm going to stand back a little bit so I'm like away from it about like a foot, like 6 inches, 6 to 12 inches. So I don't get a ton of water, but I do have like a spray of it on top of there. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and stamp that down.
Tammy's wondering if we sell those carrying markers.
No, we do not sell these markers. So with coloring mediums, there's so much out there, as you guys know. So we don't sell coloring mediums, but we do have pretty much everything else that you would need for crafting. You know, your paper, your cardstocks, things like that. But these, it's like everybody kind of has their thing. Like there's people that like their Copics, there's people that like Karen markers, there's people that like, you know, so many different things. So this is just my current favorite, and I got it right from this website. And I even Googled, I think they had like a 10% off coupon or something when I signed up for their email. So I got the complete set, and I love it. They're so pigmented and bright. They blend out really easy. All right, so I love how that turned out. So like this orange one here, so if something didn't transfer exactly how you wanted it to, you can add a little bit more pigment down, and kind of repeat that process. So don't, you know, freak out if it doesn't work right away with the Misty. That is the beautiful thing. You can do it again. All right, so I am happy with how this one turned out. So fun and pretty. Just a super simple technique. You cannot go wrong. All right, so we are gonna speed dry this, and then we're gonna do a little bit of Ombre Ink Blending. All right, so loving how that turned out. Yeah, I can do a close-up of the markers. So here is the brand, Karen. They're called Karen Brush Marker Pro. What I love about these two is like the tip is so big, like, which, I mean, if you're using a small image, it's kind of problematic, but I haven't really run into that. So I love the size of these. I love how easily they blend out, and just the range of colors. So I just want to show you, like, in comparison, like, I love these too. These are my Zig Clean color markers, kind of the same concept, but I use these when I'm using them in smaller areas, but it's not going to be like as bright and pigmented that I've noticed. But here's the size difference in the brush too. And the difference too is these are like almost like a paintbrush tip, as you can see, whereas these are like a solid nib. So just things to try out. I've tried so many different watercolor markers, and Karen markers are just like my go-to right now, I guess. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of Ombre Ink Blending. So I'm going to grab my turquoise sea and my little ink blender. Get it nice and inked up, and then I'm going to start at the bottom and pull up. So I want the most concentrated color to be at the very bottom of this panel, and then I want to pull the color up so it's lighter and then eventually kind of goes into the white. So we'll just repeat that process again, just putting it down on the bottom first and pulling upward. So we have kind of a nice base going on. Now I want to add just a little bit of a darker color along the bottom. So this is Tranquil Teal. Sue says I should get a commission from Karen. Yeah, they should have sent me some markers. Like, I swear I talk about them just as much as Unity stamps. No, I love shouting out products that I genuinely love. So if a few people purchase these markers and love them as much as I do, I am happy with that. I think that's great. It's always fun to support different companies and stuff in the industry, which is why I love doing collaborations. So our newest collaboration are our Adhesive Transfers we did with ThermoWeb, and I love them so much. All right, so there's our fun kind of ombre ink blend. So we're going to add an Adhesive Transfer foil sentiment over the top of this, but when you're using these, you have to keep in mind that they are an adhesive, and so the surface that you're putting it on does need to be dry. So I'm just going to take my heat tool and kind of make sure that all of our ink blending and stuff is dry. I think this will be pretty good, but I just want to be safe rather than sorry. All right, so I cut out Hello, and this is from one of our adhesive, there's Sentiments 1 and Sentiments 2, so there's a bunch of different ones. So I'm using Hello, and I'm going to grab my little piece of Pixie Tape that I like to use to help me position it in the right spot. We're going to pull off that backing, and then we're going to place this exactly where we want that sentiment to be. Like so. All right, so we're gonna run this through our die cutting machine so the pressure will transfer that adhesive onto our card base. So something to note too is that every machine has a different level of pressure, and obviously you're going to get a different level of pressure when you use heavier weight cardstock. So I have noticed when I use my watercolor paper, I do get a tiny little impression, like that you can't even see, like unless you're like looking, but a tiny little impression of where that cutout was. So just keep that in mind and play around with your machine so you can get like the perfect pressure. All right, so we are going to peel this off, leaving behind a perfect transfer. Now I'm going to grab, I love this color, it's called Glass Slipper Deco Foil, and it's like a holographic blue. And we're just going to put this right over the top and run this back through the die cutting machine so the pressure will adhere to that adhesive transfer. And the magic. I love this color over the top of the Ombre Ink Blending. It is so pretty. All right, so let's do that peel and reveal. Like, how pretty is that? So, so fun. And again, it's so crisp and pretty. And now we have another one that we can use, another negative we can use for a different card. So I love that. So for this card, I thought this one was really fun. Adding those same Nuvo drops that I did for the first card. So this is peppermint candy, and I just added these Nuvos kind of along there, and I'm adhering this to a scalloped card base. And this is using our nesting die set, which is scallop and rectangle nesting die set. So I like how that one turned out a lot. So
how many times can you use the transfers?
So the transfers are a one-time use. Because it is an adhesive, this is how it comes. You get a sheet. Obviously, I've cut mine out, but you get a sheet. So once you transfer that adhesive down to your card base, it's done. Like the plastic and stuff it was just sandwiching the adhesive, and that is garbage. But what is fun is that you can use these negatives with heat embossing techniques. So you really do get a lot of different uses out of those. So there's a lot of sentiments that come in these. In each pack you get 2 sheets, and then of course you can use all those negatives. So lots of fun to be had. All right, so I want to share with you one more way to use this awesome stamp set with just a simple watercolor technique. When I say there's lots of ways to use this stamp set, I am not kidding. It's so versatile, so much fun to use. So for this one, I have a white A2 card base. I have a sheet of watercolor cardstock that I already die cut out with our scallop and rectangle nesting die set. And then I use that same die set to make this frame. What's fun about this die set is that you can use it in so many different ways. Like, yes, it's just a simple nesting set, but you can combine them together to get frames. So to do that, I just taped these 2 together, ran them through at once, and then it's going to cut out this little frame. And the fun thing is too, Julissa actually shared how you can position these like this, so you could get kind of a diagonal cut using this rectangle set. So lots of different ways for this essential die that is back in stock. All right, so I'm going to grab my watercolor panel and we are going to do some stamping on here. So this next card that I am going to do was inspired by a card that a design team member, Julissa, did a couple years ago, and I think she used Copics for hers, and I thought it was so pretty and well blended. But Copics just are not my forte, and so I wanted to recreate it with watercolors and see if that inspired any of you guys to try this out with watercolors as well. So we've been doing this orientation with this fun stamp, so I want to switch it up and do this orientation this time around. And we're just going to put that in so it's held in place. And now we can position our butterfly over the top here, like so. Alright, so for this I'm using a watercolor friendly ink, and I love VersaFine Clair Nocturne. It is so vibrant, dark. You can get just really great stamped impressions with this, and it is watercolor friendly. And the fun thing is too that you could stamp this and then come back and emboss it up to 5 minutes later. So I think that that is very cool. Alright, how pretty is that? Obsessed. We're all good to go. We'll pull that out. And now for our watercolors. So when I saw Juliss's card, she had this really pretty yellow kind of shadow around all of the butterflies. And that's what just really drew me into the card. And sometimes doing that with watercolors can be difficult when it all kind of blends together. So this is my trick for doing that. So we're just going to kind of speed dry this, make sure our ink is all dry before we go in and start with our water. All right, I'm rolling up the sleeves. Let's do this. All right, so I'm going to grab my yellow. This is gold 283 in Karen Markers. And we're going to start off by carefully kind of outlining each of our butterflies, just along each of them. Now this doesn't have to be like 100% perfect, but I mean, make it look kind of nice. But the great thing is these markers you can kind of blend out if you do make a mistake. Anybody else notice that like yellow markers or yellow watercolors, they bleed, like make ink bleed more than like any other color. Like when I go in with my yellow Copics, no matter how long that panel has dried, it is disaster.
That's so interesting.
I don't know if it's something with the yellow pigment or what it is. Alright, so we're just outlining all of these beautiful butterflies. And again, I don't know if this was Juliss's method. This is just me going rogue, so maybe she'll have something way easier or different that she did and can share her tips and tricks too. But this is just by looking at her card and wanting to recreate it in watercolor version. This was my solution. Alright, so we laid down all of our yellow. And right now it's looking a little scary and you might be like, what in the world? But do not panic. So we're going to grab a little bit of water and a water brush. So I never really keep water inside of here because I find it's easier to control if I'm just dipping it in there. But I'm also like really heavy-handed, so keep that in mind. So I'm just getting this wet, and we are going to start by pulling out this yellow. I like to go in like little circular motions and kind of blend out all of what we just did, pulling it out away from those butterflies, creating a kind of a spotlight look, so to speak. So I'm going up all of one edge first, and you can go kind of back in. And along those edges, I like to kind of go just with plain water along that far edge to blend that out a little bit softer. That's how we're going to get that soft look. All right, so I'm going to flip and we're going to do the other side now. Making sure to get kind of in those nooks and crannies.
Echo's here.
Hi, Echo. Echo has shared so many amazing videos this release using our new adhesive transfers. So check those out too. She actually has a video where she does share how to use those negatives. So check that out on our YouTube channel if you're really curious about that. All right, so I'm just going to soften out this edge here. All right, just make sure I like the look of it. And I do, I'm happy with it. So now we need to dry this before we go on to the butterflies. Otherwise, all of the color that we're going to put on those butterfly wings is going to pool into our yellow and ruin it. So we're going to dry it. Honestly, even just like that is really pretty. Like if you did this with different colors, like pink around it or blue, like that would be another just fun way to use this stamp set. Like I envision another card set for some reason, like just in spring colors with a spotlight like this. All right, so now we're gonna go in and we're gonna color up these beautiful butterflies. So I'm using two different purple colors. I'm gonna use red lilac and pale violet. So I'm going to grab this first color and I'm going to go kind of at the bottom of the wings and flick it upward like so.
Can you use any kind of water-based markers with this technique?
Yes, any water-based marker is going to do the same. You're just going to need to play around a little bit because some you need to move a lot faster than I'm moving. Otherwise, it's not going to blend out. Like mine blend out so nicely and I don't have to rush. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we blended that out. Now I'm going to grab that second color and I am just going to go from the center of the butterfly and flick that out towards the end of the wings. And we'll just blend that out a little bit. Same process. Oops, I just noticed I'm doing them a little bit different than I did before. I did opposite color, but I'll show you guys so you can see which one you like better at the end. Right, adding that second color and blending that out, just kind of softening where they meet. And if it seems like I'm moving really fast, it's just because I've practiced this card. Like, this is my third time doing this, so trust me, on my first, I was very slow. But after you do it a few times, all right, blending that out.
I'm always amazed watching how well these blend together, these markers.
Yes, they do. So you don't really need to use water with them either. They blend together as well, but I always just do use water. All right. Oops, I did that one a little opposite. That's okay. I went rogue. All right. Sorry, getting lost in watercolor. Suppose you really could like lay down all your pigment at once to like go through, lay down all this darker one and then the lighter one, but I kind of like to do one butterfly at a time. I do the same with my florals, kind of like one petal at a time.
Yeah, I was wondering if it dried or something, that's why. Could you come in with water and blend them anytime?
Not
even
really
after they
any
dry?
time. Like after it dries, it's gonna be like hard. Like after you've already blended it out with water and it dries, it's gonna be a little bit harder.
Lupe's wondering if the stamp is on sale.
It is. So this is a part of our new arrivals. It's called It's Been Too Long. It is absolutely gorgeous. If you're just tuning in, I will share with you guys the other 2 cards I made with this set at the beginning of the video as well. Alright, so there's our watercolor, all done. Super fun. I love that yellow pop. So since we're going to be doing one of our adhesive transfers on top of this, we need to make sure that this is all dry. So I'm going to take my heat tool and dry this second layer. Alright, I feel like that's going to be great. Alright, so for this one, I thought it would be so pretty to use our Unity Gold Glitter foil. It's kind of a glitter holographic foil. I absolutely love it. So out of our toner sheets, I cut out, or our adhesive transfers, I cut out thanks and for everything. So we're going to do thanks directly on this card base. I'm just using my Pixie Tape as a little anchor, a little tab to hold on to. We're going to peel off that thin backing. And we're going to place this right where we want it on our card. So I'm thinking here. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and do this on black cardstock too. So I have for everything that I want to be a little banner on black cardstock. Same process, we're peeling off that thin backing. We're going to place that down on our black cardstock. And we can run these through at the same time too, just not on top of each other. Otherwise you'll get marks, but we'll just go ahead, put that in.
Are those the carrying markers Pro?
Yes, Brush Marker Pro. Alright, so we have transferred that adhesive by adding the pressure, so now we're going to peel this off, and it transferred perfectly, it looks like. Throw that away, it's all done, and then we're going to do the same thing here with for everything. So now I'm just going to grab this so it's all kind of ready and you guys can see how I'm running it through. Alright, so we're going to grab some of our gold foil here. I'm just going to place that right over the top of thanks. We just need a little part for our for everything, and it's always pretty side up when you are foiling with Deco foil. So we're just going to sandwich them in here, apply that pressure with our die cutting machine once more. Remove our sandwich, and now we can do our peel and reveal. Alright, so let's do this one. How pretty is that? So crisp, and I love the gold with the yellow. And here's another perfect negative that you can use, so save that. And now let's check out our banner on the black cardstock. Oh my goodness, it's absolutely perfect, and we have another perfect negative to use too. These just worked so well. I love that it's no heat. It's simple pressure with your die cutting machine. You'll just have to play around with your individual die cutting machine for pressure just to see how yours differs from mine. I have a Spellbinders Platinum, and I just use like what I would use for a metal die, and it works perfect. So Donina's asking if I recommend clean plates when I use these adhesive transfers. So yes, I bought these little ones specifically for my adhesive transfers because I didn't want any of like the cut marks to affect how they transferred. So my little ones here, I'm just gonna keep aside and use them only for these adhesive transfers because my daily ones are very, very sad. I need to get new plates. I actually meant to order new ones of these and didn't realize the size difference, and so I was like, you know what, that's okay, I'm going to use these just for my adhesive transfers. But you can see I do a ton of die cutting, you guys. I'm obsessed with it. These are very well loved. So, move that aside, and we, Everett? Alright, so I'm going to grab my white card base, and we're going to adhere this frame down. And I was saying earlier that I made this frame using our scalloped and rectangles die set. So I just ran these two together through the die cutting machine like this to create this cute little black frame. So I'm going to take just a liquid glue to the back of this. Alright. Sorry, my son gets off the bus here, so he
has stuff all over his shirt, and I asked him what's all over his shirt, and he said Skittle water.
Skittle water? How did you? Okay.
Grandma said that she has money because she said you can ask your parents or me.
Oh, my mom works here too, so my mom has given Everett candy, it seems.
And you put them in water and drank
it. Who's watching our kids while we're... All right. It's really a fun place to work when, obviously, Nick's mom, my mother-in-law, owns Unity. And so we work the business with her, and then my mom actually packs the orders in back too. So she just started here about a year ago, and we just have a fantastic team in back. They're getting these orders out so quickly, you guys. We have some new Winnie the Pooh stamps as well, and I know they've been all hands.
Winnie the Pooh stamps?
Yes, new Winnie the Pooh stamps have. I know they've been all hands on deck to okay, get those cooked and cut. You can definitely make a Winnie the Pooh card when I'm all done, okay?
Ooh, and those Winnie the Pooh dies.
Yes, we're working on something special. We're going to have coordinating dies for our Winnie the Pooh sets. That's going to come out probably around our birthday sale, which is going to be in May. So stay tuned for those. If you love die cuts, which I do, for coordinating stamps, stay tuned for those. All right, so we are going to pop up this little banner. I have just some little chunks on my thing here. All right. Peel off that backing. I love how you can make the look of like labels, like foiled labels with these adhesive transfers. All right, so for everything. So that is the finished one here, and I'm just going to show you because I did my watercoloring a little opposite on the two cards, but same concept. So, so fun. So for these cards, every card that I made, I used It's Been Too Long with our adhesive transfers. So there's two adhesive transfers. You're going to want them both because they're just such essential, bold sentiments that you can use to add these foil details to all of your cards. So let me just grab those other cards that I created. So we have this one with just some rainbow stamping and our blue holographic Look. Oh no, Evie. Why?
Sorry.
Everett set something on top of my wet Nuvo drops, but what you can do if this happens to you is wait till it dries, then grab like an X-Acto knife and pop them up, and then you can do new ones right over the top, and make sure your kid does not put stuff over it. All right, and this one was just some watermark stamping and showing how you can get a S-curve using the one stamp and a little bit of lining up. So I love how these cards turned out, and this stamp set with these adhesive transfers are so much fun, you guys. I know that some of you are already getting your adhesive transfers and your new stamp arrivals in your hands, and it's so much fun to see what you guys are creating with it. If you have made cards with it, I would love to see them over on the Unity Show and Tell page. It is our Facebook group where a bunch of like-minded crafters are sharing their Unity creations and things that inspire them. We're always sharing sneak peeks of what's to arrive, details on our sale. It's just a great place to be. This current release here and sale does end tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have over 800 sets are up to 55% off, so go ahead and check it all out. Great freebie incentives just for shopping with us, and who doesn't love a little retail therapy, right? All right. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I hope to be back again really soon. Bye, everybody.